Ladies, we can almost all agree. There are habits we all deem embarrassing, but in reality, they're actually very common. 1993's Hocus Pocus has become a millennial classic. These are things we can get away with in the privacy of our own homes, cars, and offices, but also in the biggest crowds of people, if we're sneaky. We are all human and we've gotta get by somehow. This Halloween romp tells the story of the Sanderson sisters, Winnie, Bette Midler, Mary, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. So, now that cat's out of the bag, girls. But it's okay. I get it, and I'm assuming the rest of us get it, too. I've found there are some habits that occur more often among women, after speaking with a few brave ladies. Guaranteeing these women would remain anonymous, they listed off some of their tendencies at rapid fire, while others smiled and nodded in a blushing agreement. The trio were executed for witchcraft 300 years prior, but modern teen mischief resurrects them just in time for the spookiest holiday of the year. Check out what they said and why these habits can be looked at as common secrets. We fart. Let's start with the obvious. The sinister sisters set about sucking the souls out of Salem's children before the sun comes up, but their plans are thwarted by teenager Max, Omri Katz, his crush Allison, Vanessa Shaw, and his little sister Donnie, Thora Birch. Hocus Pocus wasn't an immediate success. Given the fact that it's a Halloween movie that premiered in July, this isn't too much of a shock. Women do fart, even though our grandmothers swore that wasn't the case. But the facts don't lie. Everyone does, despite what your boyfriend or little brother thinks. We fart, on average, 10 to 20 times per day. Women just as much as men, according to Dr. Purna Kashyap, gastroenterologist at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. But it's still managed to become a touchstone for 90s kids everywhere, who are now introducing the movie to their own spawn. A TED-Ed video he helped create explains how passing gas is actually a sign of healthy gut function. Even the most eagle-eyed viewers might not have noticed every detail packed into Hocus Pocus' shadowy corners, however. We're here to take a look at those details you might have missed. The movie takes place after the witch trials had already ended. Timing is everything. As we learn at the beginning of the film, the Sanderson sisters were hanged for witchcraft on October 31, 1693. The filmmakers no doubt chose that date because they wanted to make their return occur exactly 300 years after they died, and on an appropriately creepy holiday, of course. Things like beans, oats, soy and dairy can cause you to be more gassy than usual. It's a cool choice, but unfortunately, one that makes the movie slightly anachronistic. The infamous Salem witch trials mostly took place in 1692, the last trial taking place in May, 1693. By October, no more witch trials were taking place. This isn't a huge problem, really. Hocus Pocus is already taking liberties with history, given the fact that the Sandersons are, well, actual witches. It's easy to believe townsfolk would have taken matters into their own hands upon being confronted with their powers. Now, if you believe your excessive flatulence is affecting your day-to-day life, you may need to change your diet, or see a doctor to make sure it's not something more serious. We cyberstalking. And anyway, the villagers hanged the sisters the morning after they sucked the life out of little Emily, so no real trial even occurred. Still, the film depends upon its association with the infamous Salem witch trials, despite taking place after they'd wrapped up. Halloween 1993 was a Sunday, and not a full moon. Max is the new kid in school, having just moved to Salem, MA from Los Angeles. Relax, it's the legal yet still frowned upon kind of stalking. He spends his first New England Halloween learning about the Sanderson sisters in class. Okay, maybe I shouldn't call it stalking, because that sounds pretty intense, but it's normal to be curious about who dates who works where, what your neighbor had for breakfast, or what the girl in your bio class wore for Halloween in 2006. Scandalous. Your ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend took a nice trip last winter, and that's. In Salem, Halloween is definitely a fun day, even if you spend half of it in school. Max's teacher sports a witch's hat, the classroom is colorfully decorated, and every student except Max is in a festive mood. When the bell rings, the older kids start TPing the place and the little kids head out to get ready for a night full of candy and costumes. The only problem is, October 31 in 1993 fell on a Sunday, so the gang wouldn't have been in school that day. There also wasn't a full moon that night either. It would take another 8 years for the full moon to fall on Halloween, in 2001. Cool. It's okay though, as the classroom setup is really just a way to introduce Max and Allison and establish his new kid bona fides. Really, though, who moves at the end of October? Allison basically says she's not a virgin for a Disney movie aimed at kids. There sure is a whole lot of talk about virginity in Hocus Pocus. Watching Hocus Pocus as an adult, there's a definite ick factor when it comes to this conversation. Teenagers seem a lot younger once you're older than they are. He never took you on vacations, but you don't really care. You're just passing the time, right? Or remember that guy you met at the bar last night? He was super cute, but you only know his first name, so naturally as soon as you get home you search all of Facebook for Ryan in the Upper East Side. It's also incredibly judgmental. Max's virginity is noted as a negative aspect of his personality. You find him, overanalyze all of his pictures, find out his likes and dislikes, and learn he has a cat named Frank. His lack of experience is constantly mocked, at one point even by an adult. His virginity, the movie makes clear, is something he should be embarrassed by. Teenage dudes of this era weren't supposed to be virgins, but of course, teenage girls absolutely were, lest they be shamed. Hey, this can be a good thing. It's interesting, then, that when Max asks his crush Allison if she wants to light the black flame candle, she sheepishly declines. The Sanderson sisters can only be brought back by a virgin lighting the candle, after all, suggesting something that flies right over kids' heads about Allison's experiences. Binks couldn't speak until the candle was lit at the beginning of the movie, after the Sanderson sisters have killed Emily and turned her brother, Thackeray Binks, into a black cat. The townsfolk rise up against the witches. It could save you from relationship hell by finding out beforehand that he's got some crazy obsession or he already has a girlfriend. There are even tips out there on how to cyber-stalk like a pro. Thackeray and Emily's dad asks the sisters what they've done with his son, but Winnie only says, "Cat's got my tongue." It's at that point that the camera cuts to a black cat rubbing up against Mr. Binks, trying to get his attention. Keep it to a minimum though, ladies, and keep some mystery in your life. We don't wash our hair every day, come on, who really has the time to wash your hair every day? It's quite a process and usually includes shampoo, conditioner, oils, and other products, so we end up putting it all off for just one more day, right? There's a reason top knots are so popular. Apparently, that fast-paced lifestyle is better for your hair. The natural oils that come from our scalp need time to spread throughout the hair, whether it be running our fingers through it or styling it. Not only is it an important key in keeping your hair in good condition, but shampooing every day can result in a dry scalp, says Alyssa Badiali, professional hairstylist. The texture and density of the hair will determine how long you can get away with it. But of course, Thackeray's dad doesn't realize that this cat is his son, and kicks the cat away. It's a pretty sad moment, but fans have always wondered why Thackeray doesn't talk to his dad here the way he talks to Max, Donnie, and Allison later in the movie. There are a few possibilities here. I say, the longer the better. So, to keep from shampooing too much, but also avoiding greasy or dirty-looking hair, dry shampoo can be a girl's best friend, not to mention many smell wonderful. The first is that Binks had just been turned into a cat, and hadn't yet learned how to speak with a set of feline vocal cords. Another theory considers the idea that Binks is only able to talk to children, because their minds are so open to the idea of magic. The most probable theory, however, is that Binks couldn't talk until the black flame candle was lit. After all, if it was just the children thing, Binks would have verbally warned them about the candle beforehand, instead of just pouncing on Max. Binks the cat wasn't voiced by the actor who played Thackeray early in the film. 17th-century teen Thackeray Binks, Sean Murray, gets turned into a black cat by the Sanderson sisters. It will give you that clean hair feel in seconds. Though Thackeray is a cat for most of the film, Murray was actually on set with the main actors the whole time, saying his lines and interacting with the cast. There was just a lot of fun. A lot of camaraderie. Could have fooled everyone, right? We don't wash our bras enough. It's not that we don't do laundry, but sometimes we don't have time or energy to hand wash our delicates, especially when the process takes a lot of time and we're partial to the one bra that perks the girls up just right. Believe it or not, according Jennifer O'Connell, Rigby and Peller lingerie stylists London, bras can become damaged if you wait too long. Bras can get discolored and start to deteriorate or stretch faster if not washed often enough, explains O'Connell. According to lingerie expert Kim A. Caldwell, bras that go too long without a wash can cause a few problems. "We had a good time," he has said of acting with Katz, Shaw, and Birch. Despite this, Murray's voice was dubbed over with that of Jason Marsden's, even when he's in human form. First, depending on the material of the bra, it can lock in foul odors from your body and your environment. Second, your body oils and perspiration can build up on the bra, breaking down the delicate or stretchy materials, like elastic. Overwashing and underwashing are both a no-no. If only they didn't come with such time-consuming instructions. As Murray recalled, they weren't exactly sure what they wanted to do with Binks. "If you wash your bras by machine, we also recommend that you hook them and put them in a lingerie bag and then wash on the delicate cycle in cool water," says O'Connell. They originally wanted a sort of California vibe with the voice, and then at some point thought they should do it Old English. "I'm not a voice actor, I couldn't do an English accent, I'd never been trained to do that, and I was young." Still, he doesn't have any regrets regarding the vocal replacement, saying Marsden is a great guy. Siblings play a married couple, the devil is in the details. But wait, it gets better. The washing machine is bad for bras, but the dryer is absolute murder, explains Caldwell. And in this instance, the details are that real-world siblings play a married couple in Hocus Pocus. Dearly departed Gary Marshall plays some guy dressed up as Satan for Halloween that the Sanderson sisters mistake for being the actual devil himself. Yes, this is what takes up all our time and is probably why we don't wash our bras properly or as often as we should. But in order for us to not do any damage to our beloved support system, we need to take care of them the right way. So, how often? Rigby and Peller say we should do this after 2 or 3 wears with proper lingerie soap. Caldwell gives us a little more time, saying it's time to wash after 4 to 5 wears. And lingerie soap, you ask? Because bras are mostly made of elastic and delicate materials, regular soaps are too harsh. Whether you hand wash or put them into the gentle cycle of your machine, be sure to use a soap meant for lingerie, lace, or even hosiery, says Caldwell. We flirt to get what we want using sex appeal as a leg up as a common, yet overused habit for a lot of women. Some may suggest it works best when getting pulled over, asking for a raise, or trying to get something you want. It's definitely frowned upon among many, but not always. In Erotic Capital, The Power of Attraction in the Boardroom and the Bedroom, Catherine Hakim goes into detail about why women should use their beauty and sex appeal to get ahead in life. She says an attractive person is more likely to land a job and be promoted. One study in Italy has shown that beauty is, in fact, a large factor in getting a job. Out of 1,000 resumes sent out, all the same with minor changes to names, addresses, and a different photo, women perceived as attractive received a 54% callback rate, while unattractive women received a whopping 7% callback rate. Wow, and they say beauty is only skin deep. We bite and pick our nails, we bite our nails for so many reasons. Naturally, when they make themselves at home in his Salem house, his wife gets a little jealous. Maybe they're too long, maybe you're stressed, maybe you broke one and now they all need to match. Or maybe it's just a habit you just can't quit. I have bad news for all you nail biters out there. Not only is it unsanitary, but according to a study in the Indian Journal of Dental Research, biting your nails is bad for your teeth and your jaw. It can cause small fractures on your teeth, and even may cause bacterial infections in your mouth and stomach. Yikes. Especially when Satan starts dancing with the very sultry Sarah. So, the next time you go to put your fingers in your mouth, don't. We pick our noses. Remember when your mom used to slap your hand away from your nose even though you thought you were being super incognito? Well, some habits, even the gross ones, never die. You do it in places no one is looking, like driving your car by yourself, probably without even realizing it. It happens, we've all been caught with our finger up our noses despite our best efforts in hiding it. Multiple studies have proven we all do it, but one Dutch study in 2006 proved why we should stop. According to the study, those who pick their noses have a better chance of getting a bacteria called Staphylococcus aureus, which can cause skin infections, bloodstream infections, respiratory infections, bone and joint infections and even food poisoning.
Said wife is a hard-drinking, chain-smoking woman, whose hair curlers convince the sisters that Satan has married Medusa. The wife isn't cowed by this, however, staunchly asking them, "Aren't you broads a little bit old to be trick-or-treating?" Satan's wife is actually played by the late, great Penny Marshall, Gary's sister. Think about that before you go digging for gold. Use toilet paper as makeshift tampons. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten your period when you didn't expect it. It's a little weird that a legendary brother and sister comedy duo play husband and wife in Hocus Pocus, but really, who better to channel the realities of an annoying spouse than an annoying sibling? Billy Butcherson is way more famous now. In an effort to track down the kids while they hide in the cemetery, Winnie resurrects Billy Butcherson, an old flame. Aunt Flo just loves showing up unannounced, and although you probably try your best to keep a spare tampon in your bag, it doesn't always happen. Superfans will know that this decaying ex is played by the incomparable Doug Jones, an actor whose physical abilities and character work have seen him portray some of the coolest movie characters ever put on screen. Notably, Hocus Pocus was actually one of the first few films that Jones performed in. He's way more famous now than he was in 1993. Sometimes you won't even know you've started your period until you're already in the stall, drop true and all. In the intervening years, he played multiple aliens in The Outer Limits, the lead gentleman in the iconic Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode Hush, Abe Sapien in Hellboy, the Faun and the Pale Man in Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, the Amphibian Man in the Oscar-winning The Shape of Water, and Commander Saru on Star Trek: Discovery. Jones' extensive career is filled with some of the most visually interesting characters of the past few decades, and his brilliance in Hocus Pocus helped start it all. The witches know too many modern things. The Sanderson sisters sure are familiar with modernity for people who died 300 years prior. For example, Mary references cooking with margarine, when margarine wasn't actually invented until 1869. So, what's a girl to do? Well, until you can track down a real tampon, you work with what you've got. In a matter of moments, you can assemble a makeshift tampon by rolling toilet paper into a cylindrical shape. Mary also says she's going to turn Donnie into a shish kebabi, implying that she knows what a shish kebab is, despite never having eaten one. Although this method is common, obstetrician-gynecologist Lauren Stryker explained on The Doctor she also flies a vacuum cleaner instead of a broom, having stumbled upon one in the closet. This implies she'd understand that a vacuum is something like a broom, only more advanced, which its design really wouldn't convey to someone from 1693. Winnie is also guilty of a few modern anachronisms. Oz show via ShareCare that it's not a good idea. The reason is even though it looks like it's really firm, the minute it gets moist it's going to apart and there's no way you're going to get it all out of you. This could then lead to irritation and cause bacteria to develop. Stryker gave the okay to use toilet paper as pads in a pinch, but you'll definitely want to 86 those TP tampons. Pluck rogue facial hair. If anyone were to ask you about your beauty regimen, you could probably easily list off your favorite night cream or eye serum, but there's one part of every woman's routine that is hush-hush. First off, despite the fact that the three sisters are unfamiliar with paved roads, town buses, and any kind of automobile, Winnie flies up on her broom alongside Max's getaway car and asks to see his driver's permit, implying that she knows what one is, why he needs one, and how a cop would ask for one when pulling someone over. We may not talk about it much, but tweezing random chin hairs is an all-too-real aspect of our lives. As far back as 1961, doctors have been trying to understand these pesky hairs. But Winnie's biggest modern insight is knowing the music and lyrics to Screamin' Jay Hawkins' 1956 hit, I Put a Spell on You. Sure, they know magic, that could be a factor here. After assessing body hair growth in women, a group of doctors released their findings in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. But let's be real, the movie needed an excuse for Bette Midler to sing. Hair tended to increase on the face and disappear from all other sites with advancing years, it read, in part. The joys of getting older. American Family Physician further reported that medical conditions, medications, and genetics can also play a role in developing these hairs. Most women rely on tweezers to treat the problem, while others shave or use chemicals. Electrolysis, or laser hair removal, is the only permanent, and also most expensive, way to get rid of these feral follicles.
Oh well, at least we have each other. Smell our partner's clothes. People, in general, are creepers when it comes to smells. We, as women, just go about it differently than men. And really, we're not too mad about that. The movie references Midler's career. Hocus Pocus is jam-packed with references to star Bette Midler's career. If you've ever caught your partner taking a whiff of your hair, you may have thought it a little strange. Before she begins, I put a spell on you, Winnie says to the audience, hello Salem, my name's Winifred. Of course, you probably didn't tell him that. Once behind closed doors, you routinely sniff the shirt he accidentally left at your place. PhD student and lead author of a study on scents, Marlies Hofer, told Time that we might just be using two different methods to accomplish the same thing. What's yours? This is a nod to the line, "Hello world, my name's Rose." What's yours? From the famous musical, Gypsy. Midler starred in a TV movie version of Gypsy that came out in 1993, the very same year that Hocus Pocus hit theaters. Gypsy aired on TV later that year in December, but Gypsy was shot before Hocus Pocus, so Midler may have decided to throw the reference in herself. The whole musical number was also staged and interpreted to mimic Midler's legendary performing style. Additionally, there's also a moment in Hocus Pocus when Mary says, "Oh, Winnie, thou art divine," giving a nod to Midler's nickname and her 1972 debut album. The divine Miss M. Binks dies on Emily's grave. The Sanderson sisters are ultimately defeated, their bodies exploding in the light of the rising sun. As they didn't achieve their goal of sucking the life from a child before the sun came up on November 1, all their previous curses are broken. This includes the one placed on Thackeray Binks, turning him into a cat for all eternity. Binks the cat doesn't just lie down anywhere to take his final rest, however, he purposefully heads straight to his little sister's 300-year-old grave. It's a sad moment when Donnie finds him lying there, but a tender tribute indeed to the girl he couldn't save. That thing being reducing stress. In Hofer's study, women who were asked to smell their partner's shirt reported feeling less stressed than women who were asked to smell either an unworn shirt or a stranger's shirt. Binks no doubt regretted what happened to Emily for 300 long, lonely years. Being able to save Donnie became his ultimate redemption. Of those who were able to recognize the scent of their partner, Time reported that they had lower cortisol levels than other women in the study. Thankfully, Binks's spirit does get to bid our heroes a final farewell, and is ushered into the afterlife by Emily. All's well that ends well, even if it took 3 centuries. Jay and Ice just get left hanging. Hey, remember the bullies, Jay and Ice? Remember how they're just kind of left to die? When Max returns to the Sanderson sisters' house to save Donnie and Binks, he finds that his tormentors have been captured by the witches. But instead of letting the guys out of their cages, even when they plead for help, Max just takes his stolen shoes back and leaves them there. Look, they're probably fine. Essentially, when a woman is aware of what, or rather who, they're smelling, there are even greater stress-relieving benefits. So, sniff away, ladies. Hide and eat snacks. Some days you may feel more squirrel than human. Someone probably came and got them after the Sanderson sisters were taken down. But when Max left them there, the witches were still alive and totally capable of sucking Jay and Ice's souls away. According to data presented by Fox News, 2/3 of American moms polled confessed to hiding snacks as a way to get out of sharing them with their partner and kids. It's not just moms that engage in these eating habits either. In a study shared by PR Fire, more than a quarter of women surveyed admitted to stealthily consuming food. So not only did Max leave Jay and Ice to fend for themselves, leaving the two there could have allowed the Sanderson sisters to succeed. While the bedroom is the most popular hiding place, some women have resorted to hiding out in the bathroom. The reasons for sneaky eating range from feeling embarrassed about what or how much they're eating to trying to maintain an image of picture-perfect health. Women also go through great lengths to cover their tracks. Being bullied is terrible, but of all the times to take one's revenge, this probably wasn't the best. The spellbook is still alive at the end, and belongs to Allison at the end of Hocus Pocus. The Sanderson sisters are dead, Billy is back in his grave, and Binks has traveled to the afterlife to be with his sister. If you've ever hidden candy wrappers in the bottom of your trash can, you're not alone. 23% of women admitted to disposing of the evidence. No one should feel guilty about grabbing a bite between meals to keep them going, dietitian-nutritionist Angela Liu told Fox News, but if it's a matter of looking after your health, it can be as simple as just having the right things on hand. Fair enough. Poop way more during this time of the month. Pardon us for getting all up in your business, but have you ever noticed how much time you spend sitting on the toilet during your period? Anna Rothschild, host of PBS, Gross Science, explained the two chemicals behind this increase in bowel movements: prostaglandins and progesterone. Prostaglandins signal the uterus to contract to push out the uterine lining, said Rothschild, but it's likely that some non-conformist prostaglandins head over to the bowels and make them contract too. And thus, we have them to thank for our extra number 2s. So all is well, right? Not so fast. The spellbook, as we can see in the closing credits of the movie, is still alive. Does it have a new master? Very possibly, yes. Secondly, Rothschild said levels of progesterone, which is a hormone that is slightly constipating, drop during a woman's menstrual cycle. So, it lets things loosen up down there, she added. Rebecca Brightman, a OB/GYN based in New York City, and Mira Kaga, an internal medicine physician in New Jersey, told Cosmopolitan that taking ibuprofen, or a similar NSAID, will impede the release of prostaglandin, so, if you take them before you start getting cramps, you may be able to prevent some poop sessions. Look in the mirror and feel fat. Is feeling fat just a part of being a woman? In a comprehensive study via The Telegraph, thousands of volunteers, both male and female, were presented with mirrors and asked to choose how they felt or how they thought they looked from a list of 12 adjectives. Measurements were also taken to determine which men and women were of a healthy weight and which were, by body mass index (BMI) standards, considered overweight. Of the women who were determined to be of a healthy weight, only 13% said they were happy when looking in the mirror. Throughout the movie, Allison is drawn to the spellbook. Just 6% would consider themselves thin. Then there's the overwhelming percentage, roughly 34%, who either picked the term fat or down after seeing their reflection. She knows all about Salem's history, after all, is a Sanderson sister expert, and, as she tells Donnie, is really into witches. She is also able to use magic, albeit in small ways, like circles of salt. Men, on the other hand, weren't nearly as likely to view themselves as overweight. Still, she's adept to the point that Winnie calls her a clever little white witch. Is Allison, in fact, a white witch? She definitely has the potential to be. Even when the sisters are burned in the kiln, she knows that something didn't quite work, meaning they're all still in danger. Twice as many women than men also used the adjective ashamed when looking at their bodies. Author of the study, psychologist Dr. Maybe a Hocus Pocus sequel could explore the idea of Allison going on to become a powerful white witch in her own right. Time will tell. Sandra Wheatley explained that women have long been judged by their appearances and now, unfortunately, use their weight as a way to measure their worth. As the Sanderson sisters know quite well. It's sad, and far too true. Honorable mentions, of course, the things listed above aren't the only things we do and hope no one notices. Here are couple extra gems we overheard during our super serious research and just couldn't keep to ourselves. When I don't have time to shower, I have this spray for your vagina, makes it smell like flowers. I have peed in the shower. If you don't admit you ever did, you're lying to me. We start drama, like the first to start a rumor. I always look at my poop when I'm finished. I judge people on their shoes. I try not to poop in public restrooms. Or at other people's homes. I'm scared someone is going to hear or smell me.